Hey everyone, it's Charlie Morgan here, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how to actually focus. How to sit down and work for 10 to 12 to 14 hours on end every single day without getting burned out or confused or lost or distracted or otherwise sidetracked. This is a deadly skill to develop, and the reason it's such a deadly skill to develop and the reason it's going to add so much value to your life and your progress is because no one knows how to do it. The best places to get advantages in business and life and in competition is where everyone else is weak, if that makes sense. So, we can understand this from Sun Tzu's The Art of War: fight the enemy on unfamiliar territory, right? And what that basically means is if we're competing with a group of people, which you are if, you're a man or a woman in the 21st century, the first principle of business is competition, right? You're competing with people, and what that means is you need to understand your competition and understand how to gain a huge asymmetric point of leverage over them, which is basically an advantage in the form of focus, because no one knows how to do it. No one knows how to just sit down and work these days. I mean, look at yourself, man, woman. You've probably already scrolled down to the comments of this video and you're fighting the urge to scroll down again. You've already checked out the sidebar of this video to see what you're going to click on next. Your phone's within arm's reach with notifications on buzzing at you. You've got music playing, or, people, your life is just nuts. It's not normal, it's insane. You probably can't even go to the toilet without taking your phone with you. You probably can't drive for 5 minutes without listening to music. You probably can't even work out without being on your phone or texting someone. You probably can't even sit down and read a book. Try and sit down right now and read a page of a book, for crying out loud. We have lost the ability to concentrate and maintain a singular point of focal attention using our 5 senses on one thing. And if you can regain the skill and learn how to do that, then you can end up making a lot of money and making huge levels of progress in your life and in your business, so you can have the life that you want and ultimately achieve financial freedom. Financial freedom is near enough impossible to achieve without focus. And so today I'm actually going to walk you through 5 things that you can do that no one's probably told you to do before, right? That are new and that you can actually use. It's not about the Pomodoro technique, or it's not about chunking. It's not about all these productivity hacks and the things that you find in these books. It's not about habits. There's 5 things that I've learned to do, and those 5 things have made me a multi-millionaire by the age of 25. And I can tell you that all of the other successful people that I know do these 5 things, and if you follow them and learn them, you're going to make a lot of money. To contextualize this and to actually give you some idea as to the fact that I know what I'm talking about, this is how much money I made yesterday. This is one of my phones. I don't know if you can see that there, but every day if you have Stripe on your phone, it will send you a notification of how much you made yesterday. So you can see in my notification center, that's there. I think yesterday we made about 24,000 pounds, so I don't know, $28,000 or something. And that's a pretty regular occurrence, So that's what's possible when you learn how to actually pay attention and concentrate. So let's get into it. So I've got some points on this phone that I'm going to ironically use to run you through this video. But if you learn to do this, you will just completely destroy everyone. So let's actually start by understanding what focus actually is. What are we dealing with here, right? I'm just going to bring this whiteboard here, and I'll bring this, there we go, okay. Right, so what is this thing? What actually is focus? Well, focus is basically, it might seem intuitive and it might seem easy to understand, but if you observe it, focus is simply not being distracted, right? So if you're trying to learn how to focus, instead of trying to learn how to just concentrate or put all of your attention and cognitive conscious awareness onto one thing, just try to not be distracted. Because often the easiest way to achieve something is through its opposite, right? And that's called inversion. It's a pretty handy mental model that a lot of billionaires and successful people that I know use. So we can achieve focus through a lack of distraction. But we'll get there in a second, right? For now, I want to stay focused, ironically, and walk you through something. So focus is basically a force multiplier for your work, right? And a force multiplier is simply like an exponent. And of course, my whiteboard pen's going to give up now, right? So focus is essentially a force multiplier. And what this means is it basically acts as an exponent or a multiplier to a variable, right? And so if you say, for example, if you do 1 hour of work, right? and this is you over here doing an hour of work, right? And if I do 1 hour of work, right, we are going to have varying levels of productivity. So let's say, for example, that in 1 hour, we both get set the same task, and it might be the case that I complete it 10 times over in 1 hour and you only complete it once. Or let's say we get given a book to read, right? It might be the case that in 1 hour you can only read 20 pages and I might be able to read 100 pages, right? The thing that people don't understand here about work is everyone thinks it's about how many hours you put in. Like everyone's all about 10,000 hours and I work 12 hours a day, I work 7 days a week. It doesn't really matter because what we can observe here is different results. This person, if I give you the example of person 1 here, if this is person 1 and person 2, if you're both given a book to read, right, and this person reads 20 pages in 1 hour, and this person reads 40 pages in 1 hour, well, this person's done 2 times as much work, right? Well, how can this be? Because they've both had the same amount of time allocated and allotted to this activity. So how can this person have done twice the work as this person? And it can get even more extreme than this because we could have this person over here, person 3, and they could read like 100 pages, which is a 5x multiplier. And what's the difference? They've all got the same amount of time. Well, the difference, this whiteboard, I'm gonna have to buy a new one because this is an absolute nightmare to use, I'm afraid. But the difference is the level of focus they have, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is you have 24 hours in the day, right? 8 of those hours you're going to be sleeping, and 4 of those hours you're going to be attending what I'm just going to call biological imperatives, right? You're eating, you're socializing, you're doing things that basically keep you sane. In fact, we could even extend this to probably 6 hours because, I'd count a biological imperative as relaxing or socializing or talking to people or, doing whatever you need to do to just make sure that your brain doesn't go haywire, right? So really what this means is if we have 8 and 6, well, that's not 12, that's definitely not 12. But if we take these 14 hours, these are 14 hours that we cannot really do anything in, right? To sleep well and be a healthy human, we probably need to spend about 14 hours a day doing that, right? So what this means is we are left, after our biological imperatives, we're left with 10 hours, really. And how you use those 10 hours determines the quality of your life. And this is 10 hours to essentially work on a business, right, to make money. And life basically is all about how much you get out of these 10 hours. And if you want to learn how to get the most out of the small amount of time that you've been given on this planet, well, you need to learn how to focus, right? It's so important because we all have the same amount of time in the day, right? We all have the same, clock. We all get 24 hours. We all probably get about 10 hours to do what we really want to do with working and stuff like that. So how is it that some people are dead broke and can't even read a page of a book without, getting distracted and having to go to a dirty website? But there's some people who are like billionaires and can read a whole book in one sitting without even thinking or blinking, right? Well, it's all about focus. So the point I'm trying to make here is focus is a force multiplier. So if we think about this like a graph, right? So here we have unit of productivity, like this. Here we have focus, and here we have hour. So let's just say, let's just put this as time, right? So we have a unit of focus, we have a unit of time, and we have a unit of production, or a unit of productivity, which is you actually getting stuff done. So let's say we've got this person here, person 1, person 2, and person 3. 3, 2, 1, right? And we want to measure how productive they're actually being, like how many units of productivity they're producing, right? So let's say we're all giving them the same amount of time. They all get, let's just say, to keep it simple, they all get, 10 units of time, right? This is the 10 hours, essentially, right? But the thing is they need to learn to focus. So if person number 1 only has 2 units of focus, and person number 2 only has 4 units of focus, but person number 3 has 9 units of focus, right? Well, what's going to happen? Because most people, when they're thinking about success and work and building a business, they just think about how much time they've got to do it. But they forget about the force multiplier. which is the thing that really matters. Because what starts to happen here is, like, if you take someone here who has 10 units of time and 2 units of focus, then they're going to have 20 units of productivity, right? But you can become really efficient with this, because another way to achieve 20 units of productivity is if you had half the time, 5, right? If you have half the time, if you only have 5 units of time, but you have double the focus, right? We go from 2 to 4, then you achieve the same result. So this is the point, right? You can spend less time making more progress, or the same level of progress, if you just have more focus. So focus is like the most important thing to time. People don't understand time, people don't really get how it works, and that's okay, but focus is the main thing. So going back to my example here, right? 10 units of time, 2 units of focus. This person's gonna have 20 units of productivity, right? And this person here, 10 units of time, 4 units of focus, well, they're gonna have 40 units of productivity, right? Person 3 has 10 units of time and 9 units of focus. Well, they're gonna have 90 units of productivity, right? This person here is 5 times more likely to make progress than this person up here. So who do you think is going to win and who do you think is going to lose, right? They're all working 10 hours, but their work isn't equal. Not all people work equally, right? And what I mean by that is some people are able to get way more out of the hours they're given than other people, and that's purely dependent on their ability to concentrate and just do one thing. Focus, if we define it, is simply the act of doing one thing at a time. It's being able to hold, you know, however many billions of neurons you have in your brain and dedicate every single one of them to one thing. And when you do that, you do it really well. For example, this video could be an hour long, right? And for me to make this video, it's going to take me an hour because I'm focused. I haven't got any notifications on, I'm not getting distracted, and it's just that. But for a lot of people to sit down and make a 1-hour video, they're going to procrastinate and take ages to sort of set it all up and procrastinate, and then they've got to write a script and they've got to, like, you know, edit it and do all this stuff. I'm just going to focus and just focus on the thing, which is just producing content that you like, right? So this is why focus is so important, because you are up against other people. You are competing with people, and you cannot really compete on time. It's impossible to get more time. You can optimize your time. So for example, instead of going to the gym, you just go for a run, because then you don't have to drive to the gym and you might save half an hour a day, which is like, you know, 800 hours a year or something crazy like that, right? So you can slightly get more time, but not really. You can't really compete on time. The advantage and the leverage and asymmetry of competition, you know, of beating your competition that you can get in this category is not that significant. But this one here is huge, because if you're up against someone and they have 1 unit of focus and you have 2, now you are twice as likely to beat them, right? So let's actually start getting into some practical advice on how to achieve this and how you can actually focus to make more money and more progress and basically just destroy everyone in your wake, okay? So we're gonna start with a real simple point. And that first one is actually your diet, right? Now, I'm going to give you 5 pieces of information here. I'm going to do them in no order. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to save the most important one to the end, just to keep you around on this video. I'd like to think that if you're learning about focus, you actually have the ability to just sit and just watch a video, for crying out loud, without having to click off. So I don't really feel the need for YouTube retention strategies here. So we're going to go through diet, and then we're going to go through a bunch of other pieces of, like, advice that you can follow. So diet's a simple one, right? And it really all revolves around carbs, carbohydrates. In fact, like, one thing that really helped with my focus, right, is I do intermittent fasting. So I usually don't eat until about 1 p.m., 2 p.m. I don't eat breakfast. I haven't done it for like 7 years now. And what I would find a couple of years ago is what was happening is I'd get to lunchtime, I'd eat lunch, and then the afternoon would sort of be a write-off. And my unit of focus could go from like an 8 in the morning, and it would be cut down to like a 2 or a 3 in the afternoon. After lunch, it would just completely go to the bottom, basically. And so this was basically happening was because I was ingesting a ton of carbs at lunchtime, right? So what you want to try to avoid doing is ingesting any form of carbohydrate or sugar during your working day. So in those 10 hours that you are working, you want to avoid carbohydrates, right? The reason you want to do this is because they take so much energy for your body to digest. And so the way it works is like, if this is your desk, well, let's just do this. If this is your desk here, right, I don't know if you can see this, I'll draw it a bit bigger. If this is your desk, right, your laptop's at your desk, and you're sat at your desk here, you know, like working, you know, in your chair or whatever, right? This laptop, you know, for you to focus and work on this laptop is going to require energy, right? Focus requires a lot of energy. But if you've just eaten a huge meal and you've just tried to digest a bunch of carbohydrates and a bunch of sugar and stuff, like what's going to happen is all of the energy that should be going into your work and into your focused work is going to be going to your gut to deal with the actual meal you've just eaten, right? So one of the biggest and simplest hacks that I found to improving focus throughout the workday is just do not eat carbohydrates at lunch. Don't do it. Don't eat bread at lunch, don't eat pasta at lunch, don't eat rice at lunch, don't eat sweet potato, any sugar, any fruit, any milk, anything, really. Just don't eat anything. Don't eat anything sweet. No sweetener, none of that. If you want to actually see what I had for lunch today, I took a picture of it earlier in anticipation of making this video. Or maybe it's not on my iCloud. Unfortunately, it's not there. But literally, like, all I ate today was just, I'll see if I can put a picture on the screen if I remember. But all I ate for lunch today was just a ribeye steak and 3 eggs. And then I had some hot sauce as well, right? Now that might sound kind of insane, and it might sound like I've got some sort of learning difficulties because that's a weird meal to eat, right? But the point is I'm not digesting any carbs. I'm not eating anything that's going to spike my insulin, spike my energy levels, and then sacrifice like my internal ability to, you know, catalyze this energy. It's kind of insane, because if you eat carbs and if you eat like fat, like loads of sugar and carbs and stuff like that, fat and protein's fine. But if you eat tons of carbs, like what basically happens, at least to me, is like my body spends more energy burning the carbs than it gains from the carbs. And the energy that it gets, it spits out in like 6 hours time. By that point, I'm trying to relax, right? So I don't eat any carbohydrates until my second meal of the day. And so if you're wondering what my diet and schedule looks like, and I know this sounds so simple and so rudimentary, like, oh, I thought he was going to give me some crazy woo-wah technique, like he's just telling me to not eat carbs, what an idiot. But I promise, just try it. You know, I get up at like 7, and then I eat my first meal at like 1 p.m, which is literally just like typically, usually like 1,200 calories. But this is literally just 350 grams of ribeye and usually 3 to 4 eggs, right? And then I continue my work until about not 7 p.m, until about 8 p.m. And then at 8 p.m, I eat my second meal, where I'll usually eat like, you know, typically 1,800 calories. And I basically have exactly what I had here, but I have a load of sweet potato fries as well, like just sweet potato in an air fryer, right? And so I'm eating a ton of carbs, like typically 600 to 700 to 800 grams of sweet potato in the evening, but I'm doing it after I finish work. So the digestion of that does not interfere with my work. You kind of have to think of it like this. During your work day, you can either work or you can digest, right? That's kind of how I see it. And this is the first of 5 things that I have used to obtain incredible, insane levels of focus. Like, focus on a level that you probably can't even comprehend yet, you know? Like, imagine being able to sit down and, where's an example of this? Can I give you, yeah, so look, I'll take you over here, look, right? So right now, I'm reading this book here, right? Let me show you. Let's just come back through here. So, where am I? Here I am, okay. So right now, I'm reading this book, right, about Caesar, right? Julius Caesar, who took over sort of revolutionized Rome. And I have read nearly half the book, and I've done this all in a couple of sittings, right? So imagine being able to sit down and open a book and read uninterrupted, unencumbered by distraction, and just with complete focus for like 6 hours. That's kind of what you can accomplish and achieve. And I've still got a long way to go with my focus. I know people that can just sit down and read for like 14 hours a day, right? There's levels to this stuff, and I am by no means, you know, the be all and end all of focus here. But like, how do you think your life would change if you could actually just sit down and work and just do what you know you need to do for like 12 hours a day? Well, you probably, like, success isn't difficult. It's about figuring out what to do and just doing it. for a fair few months, and then usually you get something, right? But in this instance, it's really as simple as just like figuring out how to focus, right? So what's next on the list? Let me check. Okay. So we've gone through the diet one. It's very simple. Just avoid sugar at all costs in any way, shape or form. Like you can eat like complex carbs in the evening, but don't be eating sugar because it will just completely ruin your ability to focus. Your brain on sugar is just kind of insane. I also don't drink caffeine. I do smoke cigarettes very, very rarely, right? Do I smoke cigarettes? So I'm not like a smoker. So I don't drink caffeine, I don't smoke, I don't take any drugs, I don't eat any sugar. There's no real dietary or consumed stimulants, right, that are gonna increase my brain's inability to focus. A lot of people say that caffeine and nicotine aids focus and helps you focus. I just think that's cope, and they're just using that as an excuse to hide behind their addiction, personally, right? So the next thing is what you do in the morning, right? So I'm gonna put this, so we've done diet. Can you see this up here? I'll just put it down here. So we've done diet. So the second thing is your morning. And I'm talking about before work, right? So what you need to understand is your brain works on a wavelength or a frequency, right? And I don't mean this in some sort of woo-wah, hippy-dippy, like, you know, oh, you want to level, you're on a certain vibe or something like that. What I'm referring to is your brain basically has like a wavelength. And depending on the wavelength that it's sitting in will depend on like how your thoughts manifest, how your behavior manifests. For example, if you're sitting, meditating and focusing on one thing for like 20 minutes, your brain will be in a certain wavelength. But if you're playing a video game that's, you know, really intense and you're listening to really loud music and you're stimulated, it will have a different level of wavelength. And it's very difficult to go from one wavelength to the other, right? So for example, if you are in a calm, tranquil, focused state, you will feel resistance towards going to a stimulated, chaotic state. Same thing, if you're in a stimulated, chaotic state, you will feel resistance to enter a calm, tranquil state. It's very difficult if this is, you know, if this wavelength here, right, represents focus, and if this represents focus, right, down here, and this represents chaos, right, which is basically just you clicking through YouTube and listening to music, and then you're talking to someone, and you've got another notification here and an email here, and now you're working on this and this, but you've got this open, and it's just chaos, right? All these distractions. If this is chaos, it's very difficult to switch between these two states, right? So to go from a nice, steady, calm, focused wavelength to a chaotic one is difficult. You won't want to do that. And the same thing here, your brain needs to have a lot of time before it can reach a different sort of level of wavelength, right? So the point I'm making here is the thing that you do, or what you do before your work has a huge impact on how you approach your work, right? So, for example, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone, reply to a bunch of messages, scroll on Instagram, go on a filthy website and, you know, get some dopamine through, you know, jacking off, whatever. And then if you're brushing your teeth and listening to music, then you go and eat a load of sugary cereal or jam or toast or gluten or whatever, carbs, right? And then on top of that, like you're also on the phone to someone, and then you drive to the gym, but you're listening to really loud music. And then like what's happening is you're stimulating your brain, and you're essentially introducing lots and lots of novel stimuli, which is basically, the word novel denotes new, right? So when you're in an environment like this, and you know, what's gonna happen is lots of stimuli is gonna fly at you, right? So this stimuli can either be environmental or personal. So an environmental stimuli, for example, could be if I was making this video right now and a bird flew into the window. I would look, you would look. When a novel stimuli enters the environment or the human perception of awareness, we have no choice but to look. This is an evolutionary response to novelty, because if we don't look, it could be a tiger looking to kill us in the bushes, right? Back in the day from the old evolutionary standpoint. So evolutionary stimuli is kind of uncommon and rare. You know, because for example, if I'm in my house on my own, if there's not a bird flying into the window, there's not really, the environment's not throwing anything at me. If someone knocks on the door, that's a novel stimuli. But your brain is built to deal with novel stimuli, you know, it's an intermittent stimuli. But if you wake up in the morning and you're stimulating your brain and you're stimulating your dopaminergic system and your serotonin systems and your nervous systems in so many different ways, it puts you into that chaotic wavelength. right? We want to be nice steady wavelength, but if you wake up and you check your phone and you go on Snapchat and you go on stories and you check your emails and you reply to someone here and you're listening to music here and then you're also masturbating here and then you're also eating sugar here and then you're talking to someone else here, you can probably think of all these behaviors that you do in the morning, right? You're putting your brain into a state that is not conducive to focus. And so if you do this for the first 45 minutes of the day, or even the first 10 minutes of the day before you get into work, it is so difficult to achieve and accomplish the wavelength that your brain needs to properly focus, because you're so stimulated. It's kind of like, if we look at it like this, on a graph, so we've got, well, how would we want to draw this? So here you've got focus, right? And then here we've got stimulation. Let's just put calmness. So this is the opposite of stimulation, right? So the more calm we are, the better our focus will be, and the less calm we are, the less we'll be. And it will go like this, right? And so this is going to be like if you're waking up and stimulating your brain, and it's just chaos. Like, how can you expect your brain to go from 10 different personally novel stimuli that are very stimulating and rewarding instantly to sitting down and single-minded focus on one thing? Focus is the art of just putting all your attention and concentration and neurons into one activity. So if you're going to ask your brain to do that, it helps if that's the first thing in the morning. Because if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you ask your brain to do is try and focus on 10 different things at once, when you come to try and just focus on one, your brain's not in the right place to do that. It's not in the right state, right? It's not warmed up, so to speak. It's warmed down, if anything, right? It would be like trying to exercise when you literally the first thing when you get out of bed. Your body's not ready, right? So this is a really important thing to note. If you combine this with the diet, it's really good. So let me give you an example of what I do in the morning, right? And this is basically my routine at the moment, and this allows me to focus pretty well. So let me just get some water. So I wake up at typically anywhere between 7 and 9 a.m. I haven't had an alarm for quite a while now, but I'll wake up. And what I do is I go and run 5 kilometers, either on the beach or just up and down the street. And then I get in the sea, and then I do a brief calisthenics workout, right? And then I get back in the sea, and then I meditate. I don't get back in the sea after the workout. So I run, I work out, and then I get in the sea because I'm all sweaty and I don't want to be all sweaty. Get in the sea, quickly swim, get out the sea, and then I sit on the beach. You probably won't be able to see it from here, but I sit on the beach in the sun in a chair for 20 minutes and I meditate, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then after I've meditated, I get back in the sea because usually I'm all hot and sweaty again from the sun. And then I dry myself off, I go and change my clothes upstairs, I walk down to my desk and I start work, right? When I'm running, I'm not listening to music. I haven't at this point replied to anyone on my phone. I haven't even checked my phone at this point. And I haven't really talked to anyone or done anything or anything. All I do is I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, right? I come downstairs, I put my running shoes on, I run, I come back, I do calisthenics for about 20 minutes, get in the sea, meditate, get back in the sea, get out the sea, go and get changed, and then I walk to work. That whole routine might take me maybe like an hour to complete, runs about 30 minutes. No, it's about an hour and a half, right? But the point is I'm doing these activities, but there's not an abnormal or unhealthy amount of novel stimuli, right? Like when I'm running, I might be thinking about something, and when I'm working out, I'm just working out. And when I'm meditating, I'm just meditating. I'm not introducing chaos, and my brain is being able to achieve this nice, steady wavelength, right? It's not like going all over the place and all up and down. So what you want to do is do an audit on your morning, and also you want to do an audit on your lunch break, right? Because the same thing applies on your lunch break. If you finish working at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. and you go to have lunch, and then when you're cooking, you're listening to music, and then you're also you've got half a podcast in, and then you're talking to someone, you're messaging someone on WhatsApp, but then also you're checking Instagram whilst also watching YouTube. It's insane. You're going to do that for an hour and then expect your brain to be able to go back to a focused wavelength. It's just not going to happen. It's just stupid, right? So that's the second thing, is the novel stimuli that you introduce voluntarily into your immediate perceptual awareness before work and during your lunch break. After work, go balls to the wall with it. Like sometimes after work, like 8 p.m. will roll around and I'll have finished dinner and I'll be like carved out of my mind. And like I'll go and walk on the beach listening to like really loud music and I'm texting like 4 different people at once. Like that's fine, but just not during the workday, right? Save all of that desire for stimuli and that craving for chaos, essentially, for when you finish your work, okay? So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing is actually awareness, right? And then there's 2 more after this, one of which will really help you. The other one will just help you a little bit, but one of them is really cool. So I can't even spell awareness, right? So awareness. So in order for us to, like I said at the beginning, in order for us to become focused, we have to learn to stop being distracted. And there's nothing really more distracting than your thoughts, right? So what you want to try and learn to do is become aware of your thoughts. And I know this sounds simple and obvious and like trite, which is something I really want to avoid in this channel, but it's imperative to your success that you actually become aware of what's going on in your life and in your, in your brain, in your behavior. Because if I ask you like, hey, what were you thinking like 2 minutes ago? You probably can't remember, right? And not that you should, not that a sane person can remember what they've been thinking all the time, but it helps for you to develop a level of awareness around your distractions, because really there's only 2 things in life that can distract you, right? An internal stimuli and an external stimuli. So an external stimuli is a distraction that comes from your environment, right? Your immediate, either digital or physical environment. For example, if I'm recording this right now and someone knocks on the door, I am cognitively obliged to pay attention to that, right? Or if I'm recording this video right now and on this phone, like a notification crops up, then my attention's gonna go to it. I can give you a literal example of what just happened. I was on this notes app here and I accidentally shook it and it said, do you want to undo the typing? You know that like undo typing thing you get on notes? And then my phone sort of shook a little bit and then now I just looked at it and paid attention and then I came straight back to this video, right? So that's an example of a distraction, right? That is an external stimuli, something that your environment has produced that has taken your attention and awareness, or, well, really it's just your attention away from the one thing that you're doing. The internal stimuli is basically a thought, right? This is something that happens in your head when you're trying to do something and then you start thinking about something. And then before you know it, like you're off and away. Like if I'm trying to make this, not even trying to make this video, but let's say for example that I'm trying to read a book and then I get like 5 lines deep and then I start thinking about the carrot cake I have in the fridge. And then I'm like, oh, I really want that carrot cake. Oh, I actually wonder if there's actually any carrot in that cake. Like, also, why are carrots orange? I thought they used to be purple. Like, and then you just start thinking, and then you're not even doing the thing you want to do anymore. And most people are very, very bad at managing their internal stimuli because they're simply not aware of it. And so what I'm going to talk about in a second here is meditation and how to actually meditate for focus. And it's a simple practice that I've been doing for years now that you can do every day to just drill your focus and become aware of it. But you need to become painfully and cognizantly aware of your thoughts. You need to learn to basically like understand them, analyze them, not analyze them too much, but I'm going to give you a simple activity for this in just a second. One thing that I like to do, I don't do it so much anymore because I don't need to, but what I used to have by my desk was a simple notepad and a pen. This resembles a pen, all right, for argument's sake. Simple pen, right? What I used to do is have a notepad and a pen by my desk. And when I was working, what I would do every time I got distracted, I would write down what distracted me. And what I was looking to essentially do is I did this for about 30 days, and over 30 days I put all of the distractions in a sheet and I bucketed my distractions. And what this allowed me to do was become aware of what was distracting me. So I started to write it down, like it could be a Slack message, or it could be an email, or it could be a thought, or it could be a craving for food or something, or this, that, or the other. And what I started to do is I just started to note my distractions. And if you do this enough, and if you become aware enough of your distractions, you'll start to like interfere with their ability to actually like get you off the track and stop you from focusing. So this is just a simple little exercise that you can do. Is basically just like get a notepad, start trying to work on something, and then you will get distracted, right? And when you do, remember to note it down, because what will happen if you do this for long enough is when you're working, what's going to start to happen is a distraction is going to start to form, and you'll notice it and become aware of it before it can fully form, and then you'll be able to sort of bat it away. So this leads me on to another point of awareness, which is meditation, right? Now, another thing that I wanted to add before we move on to meditation here is that the Pomodoro technique is complete BS. And if you believe that the human brain is only capable of focusing for 25 minutes, you are, quite frankly, a silly person, right? Now, I'm not going to call you an idiot for believing information that is widely believed, because that's just the human condition. But like, if it wasn't, like, I don't understand how people can think that the human mind can only focus for 25 minutes at a time before it needs a break. That's insane. If you think about that for a second, like, that's just stupid. Because, you know, if you think about us, from an evolutionary standpoint and how our focus has been, you know, developed through time, through history, through evolution, like the human brain, we had to sit there, like if let's say you're hunting an animal, right? Sometimes we'd have to sit there and stare at like some trees for like 6 hours before something happened. And we'd have to sit there and focus on the trees, because if a deer ran past and we missed it, our family wouldn't eat that night. The human brain is capable of focusing for hours and hours and like a whole day sometimes. Like, it's entirely possible, right? So don't be telling me, because of some productivity guru, that you have to take a break every 25 minutes, because that is pathetic and quite frankly stupid. So it's unnecessary, I don't agree with it, and I'm hoping that with that evolutionary point, I've kind of made that quite clear. Another example, this video is now 36 minutes long. I haven't taken a 5-minute break. I'm still going. My train of thought is still clear and clean, and I'm not getting distracted. So it's just a load of rubbish. It's for people that are trying to cope, because they've spent so much time like obsessively on these short form videos, which we'll get to in a second, that they can't even focus. So meditation is a simple practice. I'm not saying that you want to sit there and, you know, just sit there with your hands like this and go, that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to meditate for mental health improvement. We're not trying to meditate for spiritual enlightenment. All of my meditation practices are focused around focus, right? I don't really worry about the rest of the stuff, because I don't have much of a problem with the rest of the stuff that meditation might bring. I literally just meditate just to improve my focus, because what we're trying to do by meditating every day is we are able to train the muscle in our mind, because it is kind of like a muscle in the sense that you can train it. We're trying to train the skill cycle, or part of our mind or part of our brain that is dedicated to focus. So what I will do is I will sit down and I will show you this here. It's going to bring you outside. This is exciting, isn't it? Right? Ooh. So I don't know if you see this chair down on the beach. See that there? That's where I meditate, right? So I turn it to face the sun, and I literally just sit and I focus on my breath for 20 minutes. Now, I'm going to walk you through how to meditate. It's very simple, and you should be able to do it without much problem. The problem that people have with meditating is they start doing it and they are really bad at it, and so they say that they can't, right? Well, of course you can't, because you've just spent the last 5 years with insane levels of novel stimulation, and the main form of stimulation that your brain has had is a 20-second video on Instagram. So of course your attention span is destroyed, and of course as soon as you meditate within 20 seconds, your attention span is going to be completely destroyed, right? So how do we meditate? Well, what we're looking to do is we're looking to do 20 minutes a day, right? And all you do, right, is you buy some noise-cancelling headphones if you have like a noisy environment, because out on the beach, there might be people working or walking past, or there's birds chirping and like fish jumping up and down. And like, I just prefer to meditate in silence. You get some noise-cancelling headphones, or you sit in a quiet environment. You sit in a relaxed position, not relaxed to the point where you can fall asleep, but you're sort of upright, you know, chest forward, shoulders back, or you're leaning back and you're calm. And then you shut your eyes and you focus on your breath. And what I mean by that is you focus on the sensation of the air passing between your nostrils, right? So if I shut my eyes, right, so I'm going to invite you to do this right now, right? And you might think this is weird in the middle of a YouTube video. There was a novel stimuli, I don't know if you saw it. Bird just flew past and it caught my eye, caught my attention, distracted me ever so slightly, then I brought my attention back to this video, right? So anyway, So shut your eyes right now. This is weird, but I'm gonna just do I'm not doing a guided meditation thing, but just close your eyes, okay? And you're gonna have, right now you have got internal stimuli. You've got thoughts like, this is stupid, let me skip the video, there's no point in doing this, but just shut your eyes, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to draw a deep breath in through your nose, right? So now and then I want you to release it through your mouth. So, intent breathing. And once again, this time, in through the nose, but I want you to focus on the sensation of your nostrils. And when you release out through the mouth, I want you to focus on the sensation of the air leaving your mouth. And now what I want you to do is not focus on your breath and just allow your breathing to return to a natural form. So you're just breathing naturally, you're not forcing it, you're not breathing deep or breathing shallow. And I want you to just feel the air moving between your nostrils. Now you might feel the air at the front of your nostrils, you might feel it right at the back of your nose, I don't know where you're going to feel it, right? But you should notice a sensation of breathing, right? And congratulations, you've just meditated, right? All meditation is, and all meditation needs to be for you to learn how to focus, is sitting with your eyes shut and other stimuli, close out your mind, and you're just basically breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. So you're literally just sitting there and breathing. But what you're doing is you're becoming aware and you're paying attention to the sensation of the breath passing through your nose. And what's going to happen, guaranteed, without any question, is within a few seconds, your mind's going to come up with a thought, right? Your mind, you can open your eyes, by the way, if your eyes are still closed, you weirdo. Right, your mind's going to come up with a thought, or you're going to have an emotion, or there's going to be a sensation, like your body there might be a fly that lands on your leg or something, or so maybe there's a sound and the sound has distracted you. But what's going to happen, either internally or externally, a stimulant is going to come along, or a stimuli is going to come along and distract you away from this focal point of attention on your breath. Your job when you're meditating is simple. You notice the thought or you notice the external stimuli and you acknowledge it. You don't get angry at yourself for having the thought and for distracting yourself. You simply acknowledge it and you say to yourself, oh, I'm thinking. And then what you do once you've acknowledged it is you let it go and you return back to where you were focusing before. It's really simple. And what's going to happen for the first month when you're meditating is you're going to have to do this every 5 seconds, right? It will give you an indication into your attention span. And it's actually quite terrifying just how bad your attention span is, right? So let's do an example here. Close your eyes and start breathing. Just not intensely, just focus on the breath going in and out, and just sit there, and I'm going to come back and say something to you in a second. Okay, so you've noticed how you're probably already distracted. Now, maybe you sat through that and you didn't have any problem, but what you probably heard was me slamming my bottle on the floor. That's an external stimuli. That's a distraction, right? And so what's happened is your brain has gone to that external stimuli and now you're out of meditation, right? So meditation is basically just focusing on the breath, something happens, you have a thought or something, and then essentially you just bring it back to the breath. It's as simple as that, right? And the reason that we're doing this, we do it for 20 minutes a day. We're not listening to music. We're not doing anything else. We're just sitting there. And the reason that we do this is because when you're working, you're going to start to implement this and introduce this. So it might seem stupid, but every single time, right, it's like a loop. So, you have the breath. Let me just draw this. So you have the breath, like this, and all of your attention's on the breath. And then what starts to happen is a thought starts to form, right? And then your attention starts going towards your thought. All we're trying to do is basically, I'm going to draw an eye here to resemble focus, right? All we're trying to do is correct our focus and our attention, and we're recognizing and seeing the thought and feeling it, and we're not judging ourselves or getting angry for feeling it, because this is a big mistake. And then we're bringing it back to the breath. And what we're looking to do with our meditation practice is repeat this loop as much as possible. The more that this happens, the better. Because every single time you correct this loop, you are rewiring your brain to become aware of distractions and cut them off. And what will happen is the more you do this, you will achieve speed, right? And what I mean by that is the rate at which you can focus. And you know what I talked about earlier with units of focus? You can have a 1 unit of focus or a 10 unit of focus, right? The amount of units of focus you have depend on the speed at which you can recognize distractions and recorrect your focus back to the thing that you're doing. And so meditation truly is the secret to achieving focus, right? Because if you're really quick at this loop of recognizing distractions and going back to your focus, then you're more focused. Focus is not a binary spectrum. It's not the case that you're either focused or you're not focused, right? Although technically it is in the sense that if you are just working on one thing, you're focused on that thing. But if we're talking about whether or not someone's focused, it's how focused are they? And how many units of focus do they have in their life at this present moment in time? And that depends on their ability to recognize distractions and bring themselves back as soon as possible, right? That really is the core to focus. Because I can tell you now, I've been meditating for years. I've been doing this since I was 18, right? Inconsistently, admittedly. I haven't done it every day for 7 years. But what I can tell you is the meditation that I have done massively transfers through into my work. And it also transfers into my emotional control and everything else, right? But even now, having done this for a long time, I meditate and I can sit there and I can focus on my breath now for a good maybe 4 or 5 minutes at once before a thought comes through. But it still gets me, right? There's people I know who can meditate for an hour without distraction, right? And that's where I want to get, because those people are so focused that you wouldn't even believe. But my point here is it's practice and it takes time. When you're meditating, it's probably going to take you like 10 seconds to get distracted and have to bring it back. For me, it might be a couple of minutes. But it's so, like, if you do this for a couple of weeks, you'll start to notice that in your work, like you'll be working on something and then your brain will be like, oh, let's go and get a sandwich. And you'll just be like, no. And then you'll be back to work. It's weird how it works, and it doesn't seem like a big thing, but it's huge. You know, it's like you can be working and then maybe you start having a thought about messaging someone on WhatsApp because you have an idea. And then you're like, oh, probably shouldn't go and do that, because you're trying to catch your brain as the thought forms before your body has a chance to react to it. Because if the thought you have and the distraction you have, I should probably go and message my friend, then you're going to get up and you're going to start moving, you're going to walk over to your phone, and then you're going to be on your phone texting someone, then before you know it, you're in your phone and you're completely gone and you're no longer working. But if you notice the thought and think, if that's important, I'll probably think about it later, back to work. And the speed at which you can do that and the regularity and the consistency at which you can do that depends on how focused you are. It is the single most important thing I have found to enhancing and improving focus, and I'd suggest you do it every single day. Okay? Now, meditation, it's like, you know, someone told me once that meditation is the art of doing nothing, so you don't add something to it. If you're wondering what I use, I'll see if I can find it on my phone here. The app I use to meditate is called Insight Timer, and it looks something like this, okay? I use the free version, and once you're on the app, all you do is you go to timer, and then you go 20 minutes and you just press start. And at the end of the 20 minutes, it will basically ring a little bell, and then you know you're done. I wouldn't suggest using your iPhone alarm, because we all know that iPhone alarms are very jarring, and if you're in a nice calm state and then you suddenly get like, you know, the marimba tone or something, you're gonna have some aneurysm, so don't do that. I learned this the hard way because my ringtone is that alien sci-fi sound, and I was meditating and then it would be sci-fi and it was horrible, right? So don't do that, but that's the point, right? So Insight Timer is the app I use. You don't need music, you don't need anything really, just sit in a chair and do it for 20 minutes a day, and it will suck and you'll judge yourself and you'll get angry at yourself, but it's gonna make you a millionaire if you do it for a long, long time, okay? So those are really 3 things to begin with, right? So diet, don't do anything before work and during lunch that is novelly stimulating. Don't overstimulate yourself and expect your brain to be able to get into a state of focus. And become more aware of the distractions that you're experiencing. So the 2 other ones that I'm going to walk you through are, well, we'll start with this one, okay? And that is basically all or nothing. So this is number 4. So you have to understand that your brain is what would we call it? I actually wrote this down earlier. Yeah, so your brain is a universal behavioral filter, or focus as a sort of method of behavior is a universal behavioral filter. What does that mean? Well, what it means is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're trying to achieve focus with your work in one area of your life, but in another area of your life you're not focusing at all, then you're not going to become focused in your work. It needs to become a way of life. It needs to become a routine everywhere. For example, if I'm listening to a song on Spotify, I won't skip the song. I have to finish the song. I cannot watch part of a movie. I can't finish part of a book before starting a new one, right? In your life, you have to start becoming obsessed with finishing things and focusing on things. For example, if I go to dinner with a friend or with a group of people, I will never check my phone. If I'm walking on the beach listening to music, I won't be messaging someone else. It's almost borderline like autistic. And I don't mean that in like an offensive way. I mean like you need to become obsessive with this thing, right? So, you know, if you think you can get away with this where like, I know I said earlier, like sometimes I'll be messaging like 4 people at once, but that's obviously like human behavior on WhatsApp, right? But my point is that like, actually to be fair, if I'm on the beach listening to music, I'll text people. It's not that extreme. But I'm trying to make a point here, right? Where if you're just doing one thing, you want to just do one thing. And you want to train your brain to not multitask. Because if you're multitasking in other areas of your life, it's going to come up in your work. Because your brain is a universal behavioral filter. And what that means is let's say your work accounts for 70% of your behavior, and then 30% of your behavior is whatever else. If in that 30% you're multitasking, like your brain can't tell the difference between work and other behavior. And so I promise you, if you do it elsewhere, it will come up and show up in your work. It needs to be an all or nothing thing where you try to seek focus everywhere. Because you can train yourself to be focused when you're watching Netflix. It's just watch Netflix, right? Like do an audit of your environment right now. Like, do you have multiple tabs open? Like, is your life chaotic and ridiculous? Because if it is, you know, you're going to be in some trouble, right? So if I'm rewatching Peaky Blinders at the moment, right? And I've just finished season 1. And when I'm watching Peaky Blinders, I'm not messaging someone else on my phone. I don't have another tab open. It's literally just me and the screen, right? I'm not doing anything else. I'm not trying to stimulate myself in any other way. And that method of behavior will translate into my work. Because when your brain can't really tell the difference between watching a show and working, right? It can in terms that it will feel work is more painful, but it's going to treat both activities the same way. And so if when you work, you're super focused, but when you watch Netflix, you're not, well, your brain's going to get confused because it can't do both. It has to be one or the other. And this is why right now in your life, everything you do is distracted and chaotic. So you need to change it where everything you do is focused, because that will then transform into your work and make it way easier when you do try and sit down to work and focus, okay? So I don't care if it's playing chess or talking to people or, you know, replying to your emails or whatever. Like when I'm working, I only ever have one window open at a time with 1 or 2 tabs max if I'm trying to work on something that requires 2 tabs. If I'm on a meeting, I don't have Slack open. If I'm like, to be fair, if I'm driving or something, I'll listen to music, you know, because that's fine. But for the most part, like if I'm not going to try and drive and use my phone at the same time, right? Or I'm not going to try and be listening to a podcast but texting someone at the same time. Train your brain to single task everywhere, because single tasking is just focus. And if you try and multitask everywhere, your brain's not going to have it. It's going to be super difficult. So that's all or nothing. Now, the 5th thing is really important, right? And that is basically your environment. So what we're looking to try and do here is we're trying to craft and create a physical and digital surrounding that gives assent to and makes focus easy, right? We want our environment to be conducive to the behaviors that we want to perform. And so, you know, for example, if you on your desk right now have your phone, then it's going to be harder for you to focus. So it's a pretty interesting thing to do, because right now you're watching this video, right? But I'd invite you to just look around and look at how many distractions you've laid out in front of yourselves. So first of all, you've got the YouTube comments below. Then you've got the YouTube sidebar, or, you know, if you tilt your phone like vertically, whatever, horizontally, whatever, there's going to be loads of other videos for you to watch. On top of that, you've got your notifications on. You might have your email open. Maybe you've got music playing in the background, but you've definitely got your phone on your desk somewhere. You've probably also got a messaging app open. You've probably also got another YouTube video that you're halfway through and 2 more tabs open on the videos you're going to watch next. Like, dude, it's chaotic. How the hell can you expect to be focused when you've put so many distractions in front of yourself? Like, you want to configure your environment and create your space and your surroundings so that nothing can distract you. It's so obvious and simple. Like, one example is I have noise cancelling headphones. So if my business, because I live with my business partner, right? And sometimes he'll like walk around the house and sing, not in like a weird way, like I do it as well. You know when you just sort of like hum into yourself or sing into yourself, maybe not, maybe I'm just bloody weird. But you know when you're just walking around, you're sort of, you know, making some noise or talking to yourself or singing. Like, I have noise cancelling headphones on because if my business partner is walking through the house singing, then I might get distracted by that. And so it's just like, that's one thing in my environment that can just, is a stimuli or a novel stimuli that can take me away from the thing I'm trying to do. It's even more important you do this if the distractions in your immediate environment are tied to dopaminergic reward, right? So primary example, I have my phone here right now because I'm making this video, but the bad boy is on airplane mode. Well, actually, it doesn't even matter if it's on airplane mode or not, because I literally have like nothing on there. There's no like, I don't have Facebook on there. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Reddit. I don't have Gmail on there. Like, I don't have Discord on there. I don't even have any of those things anyway. I don't even have accounts, let alone the app, right? If you have Instagram on your phone, Snapchat on your phone, Facebook on your phone, Twitter on your phone, Gmail on your phone, Discord on your phone, I don't know, Threads, whatever else people use these days, right? If you have those apps on your phone, you're going to be poorer than if you don't. It is simple, because your ability to make money and create wealth in your life depends on your ability to work on things and stay focused on a specific set of tasks for a long period of time uninterrupted and build value through a company. If you have a phone in your pocket or on your desk that has all of these distractions on it that are rewarding to use in terms of your dopamine system, and not only that, you have notifications pushing to them, you're literally making yourself poor. I can't put it any other way. You are literally, you have something in your pocket at all times that is keeping you poor. I do not know why people are so bloody attached to those things. I do, I get it, because it's like addictive and stuff like that. But dude, I deleted everything. It was the best decision I ever made. Because now there's nothing to distract me. You know, like maybe you've got dating apps on your phone, and then you've got like all these messages. Now it's tied to dopaminergic systems, but also some deep psychological drives and desires. Like, you know, if you get a message on Tinder and that comes through and you're trying to, you know, play a long-term game by just building like a system for your business, you've given your brain 2 options here. What do you think it's going to go for? You silly boy, right? It's going to go for the girl. So remove everything in your environment that can cause a distraction, you know? Even to the point where like you just want to try and be as minimalistic as possible. So what I'm actually going to do now to round off this video is hop into my laptop, and I'm going to walk you through what my digital environment looks like. Because you have your physical environment, which is the immediate thing. Primary example of how to optimize your physical environment is don't buy any bad food. Because if one of your focuses, you know, ironically you can't really have focuses, it just defeats the point, right? But if you're trying to not eat bad food, and that's a focus in your life, and your focus is on being healthy, if you buy bad food and have bad food in your environment, you're gonna eat the bad food. Your environment is way more powerful than your willpower. If your willpower, you know, if your willpower and your environment, if these things go toe to toe, your willpower might win for like a very short period of time, for like a couple of days. Your willpower will trump the environment, but this thing's gonna get depleted and your discipline's gonna get depleted real quick, and the environment will always win. The environment always wins. So if you have a terrible environment conducive to doing things you don't want to do, you can't expect willpower and discipline to defend you. If you're trying to quit smoking and you have cigarettes in the house, you're gonna smoke them. Not for the first couple of days, but it will get you. It's like, oh, I don't want to vape anymore. I don't want to throw my vape out because it costs the money. I'm not gonna smoke it. 3 days later, what do you think you're doing? You're vaping, idiot, right? So I'm gonna get into my laptop now and walk you through what my laptop looks like, how I configure my desktop, my browsers, my social things, so that when I do use them, I'm not getting distracted or my brain's not going in all these different directions. So that's everything for the whiteboard. Let's get into the computer.
Okay, so we're here inside my laptop. I wanted to show you what I see when I'm working, because I spend 10, 12, 14 hours a day sometimes in front of this screen. So I've optimized it in many ways to allow myself to work efficiently and effectively, and I'm going to walk you through some tools that you can install onto your laptop or workspace to become more efficient. So the first thing that you'll see when I open my laptop is basically nothing. I don't have anything except from Google Chrome down here. I don't have anything in my desktop, because your desktop is kind of like your mind. If it's crowded, like, your brain's going to be thinking about it, right? So every time I come to work, I just see a nice clean slate. Now, if I'm working on something, there will usually be documents relevant to that thing over here. So for example, the focus video that I just made, that was here with the audio file. And then once it's completed, it just either gets deleted or uploaded to a Google Drive to the corresponding or correct folder, if that makes sense. So I only do one thing at a time, and my desktop is specifically dedicated to the thing that I'm working on. And once that thing is done, it gets deleted or filed or moved. It doesn't just sit here. So this space here that you can see is basically where what I'm currently working on will be. And as soon as it's done, it's over, right? So other than that, I have this folder up here for just a couple of things that I need, like, to keep handy, like, pictures of my passport and some other bits and pieces, just like stuff that you need randomly, but every time you need to go and get it, it annoys you. So that's efficient. And then I also have this one called Vids, which is where I upload, like, whenever I finish a YouTube video, it gets uploaded here, as well as to Google Drive, because then that way, if Google Drive fails or it gets deleted, I've still got it here as a backup. And then these videos get deleted as soon as they're uploaded, if that makes sense. So once again, I just pause to pull this up. Once again, to show you, like, I have nothing in the downloads tab. If it gets downloaded, it gets done, and then it gets deleted. It's like download, done, delete, right? DDD, the 3 Ds, download, done, delete. It's as simple as that. You don't want stuff hanging around, and when you finish something, you just want to finish it by deleting it or removing it, right? I'm a big, firm believer in finishing things and getting stuff done and just removing it. So what you can see, if I need to access Slack, I can access Slack. The only 3 things that I really use inside of my desktop here are Spotify, Slack, and Google Chrome, right? Slack is just as simple as looking for it there, and so Spotify, so I don't really use it. So where most of the magic happens is going to be inside of Slack and inside of Chrome. So we'll go through Chrome. Google Chrome is probably the most important tool to my work, with the exception of Slack and the communications and stuff, because everything to do with my work is going to be on the internet, right? Because it's an online business. So you want to understand, if you're running an online business and you're going to be spending a lot of time in a browser, first of all, use Chrome. Do not use Safari. Do not use Firefox. Do not use Internet Explorer. Do not use Bing. Just use Chrome. It is the best, fastest, and most efficient thing. Also, use Windows. Do not use Windows. Use a Mac. It's more efficient. It's faster. I prefer it. Maybe you don't. So the first thing you'll notice when I open my Google Chrome here is it's not taking me through to any recommended sites. A lot of people, yourself included probably, when you go on Google Chrome is going to try and distract you, right? It's going to try and take your focus away. It's going to give you external stimuli like YouTube or frequently visited websites that you can click on, and it's just going to get you, right? So what you want to do is you want to install something called Momentum, right? So it's a Google Chrome extension. You can go here, like this, and you can literally just download it and install it, and what that's going to allow you to do is basically have this like nature thing. Like, there's no more bookmark, there's no sort of like recommended sites or recently visited. It's just, focus. You just come in here, it says good morning Charlie, good afternoon Charlie, or whatever, and then you're just searching up here, if that makes sense. Once you've got this sorted out, that's the first sort of layer of protection that you're going to need against distraction. The second thing you want to do is you want to organize everything that you need that is to be basically immediately accessible, right? So there's a few tools that I use every day, or softwares that I use every day for work and for to drive the business forward. Google Drive, Google Calendar, Google Gmail, Wise, Trello, Now Stripe, obviously, school, and then Miro, right? So I use these things very frequently, very often. So if I need to get to my Google Drive, I'm just one click away. Same with my calendar, I'm one click away. All of these things are accessible. And what I don't have to do is go anywhere else other than this page to get to them, right? Because it's just simple. Same with my wall map, my health tracking sheet, whatever a big project I'm working on at the moment. And then I've got these folders here that basically all contain like different things that I can click on immediately, right? So this is like the hub, and this is like my navigation tab. And 80% of the time, if I need to go somewhere, I can find it within 1 or 2 clicks, right? And that's really helpful. So the next thing I want to show you is, let's just go to Facebook, right? And let's hop in here. So the first thing you'll notice about this, right? Go to Instagram. You can see this. If I go to LinkedIn, you'll see I'm not logged in. If I go to Twitter, like this, you can also see I'm not logged in. Even if I go to school, my community, you'll see I'm not logged in, right? So you don't want to log into stuff. And what I mean by this is, I see these platforms. First of all, I haven't been on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter for like 6 months. I have business accounts on there, but I don't manage them, so I don't have to go on them, which every day I count my blessings for, right? Thank you to Kian, if you're watching this, our creative director, who manages all the content. But let's say I had to go on Facebook to do something, right? Facebook, let's say I had to go on there to, I don't know, message a prospect back, right? Facebook is a dangerous place to go because it's full of distractions, it's politically charged, and it's going to take you down some sort of rabbit hole, and before you know it, you're going to be buying someone's $47 ebook that you're never going to use, and then it's chaos, right? So the way that I treat these social platforms is I treat them, even my community, I treat it in a way that I'm getting it done, and then I'm getting out, right? So for example, if I went into Easy Grow here and just logged in, and then I went to the community, and then maybe I was looking at the win post, and I was like, okay, let's just see what's going on, make sure we've got wins coming through, or maybe I need to look at the classroom, and then I need to make an amendment to this, and then I'm like in here, like, okay, yeah, let me change this video. Once I've done that, and once I've got it done, I come up here and I log out, because logging out of stuff tells your mind that that platform is now completed and it's done. And I believe that if you're logged into a platform, if you're logged into something, what's basically happening is like part of your brain is dedicated to that platform, right? So let's just show you my Facebook, right? So if I log into Facebook here, God forbid I ever have to go on this godforsaken platform. So what you're going to see here is, like, first of all, it's just chaos, right? How the hell are you supposed to deal with this? You've probably got all these groups down here, then you've got this feed, you'll see there's no stories. But one thing that you want to start using, oh, this doesn't even work anymore. Oh, that's just sad. Damn, okay. Well, this is news to me because I haven't logged into Facebook in ages. So there's a tool that you can get on Chrome called Undistracted. And what this tool does is it should hide certain elements of the thing that you're using. For example, like if I want to hide Facebook stories, like I can just hide it, look at this. Because if I come on Facebook, right, to do something, and if I've got 3 like attractive women up here, and then I've also got like this news feed of people like disagreeing with things, like it's very unlikely that I'm just going to do what I need to do. I'm going to end up clicking on a story, or like, let's just scroll for a second here. Like if you actually scroll on these platforms and take a minute to ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? Like, you need to do that sometimes. Because I used to do this with Instagram, where like I would just scroll and scroll and scroll. This is a long time ago. I'd scroll and scroll and scroll. And then like I just sometimes catch myself like watching some stupid video and being like, what the hell am I doing? What on earth am I doing? You have to become aware of it. It's like all you're going to find is politically charged content, people trying to sell you stuff, like myself included, right? And it's just like, this is all just rubbish. None of this content here is in any way, shape or form going to help me achieve my goal. It might make you laugh, it might stimulate your dopaminergic systems, but honestly, it's a complete waste of time. So I used to use Undistracted to hide my Facebook feed, but for some reason, it seems as though that's not going to work. So yeah, unfortunately, you might have to use one called Newsfeed Eradicator instead. Okay? So that's the first thing. Just, if I got it done, I'd log out. I wouldn't see any of that. Wouldn't see any of my newsfeed usually because the tool's usually blocking it. Same with Instagram. I don't log into this. I'm not logged in. Same thing with LinkedIn. If I do sign into LinkedIn here, right, let me log in like this, right, and I go to the home page. There's no newsfeed. The chat pop-up doesn't happen. There's nothing to distract me, right? There's obviously all of these notifications and all this, basically. But if I come on here to do something, it's far less likely I get distracted. But the big one that's really going to help you, let me just log out of this. I don't want to be inside of this godforsaken place. The big one that's really going to help you is YouTube, right? If I go on to YouTube, right, and I do this, what happens is YouTube will usually force redirect to my subscriptions, but I'm not subscribed to anyone because I don't really use this as much as I used to. But if I just go to the YouTube homepage, there's no videos. Nothing comes up. There's no recommended, right? So if I'm using YouTube, I only use YouTube with intent. Let's say I'm searching for a video, right? So I go on this with intent and I type in like SMMA, how to deliver a pay per appointment offer. And I'm coming on here with intention, right? Then I'll be like, okay, I'll click on this video.
That's all we really want. If they don't pick up, leave.
Tool that's called Undistracted, which is completely free, right? It's going to show me the video and nothing else. So it's not going to show me the comments. I can't scroll, in case you can't notice. I literally cannot scroll down here to see the comments. There's also no sidebar, and there's also no up next or recommended, right? So all I can do is just watch the video, which is what I want to do. Because YouTube is a great tool to gather information and to solve problems and to learn how to, it's a good tool, but if I remove all of this stuff here, if I put all of this here, look, now I've got like all of these distractions here. I've got more distractions down here. And then if I get to the end of the video, it's going to show me even more stuff. Like it's chaos, right? It's just silly. So, just remove it and hide it. And then this app will just completely remove everything, right? So if I refresh now, there won't be anything there. So that's called Undistracted. It's really cool. Now, another thing that you can do, another thing that's a little bit more unknown, is you can actually use AdBlock, right? The Chrome extension, to hide things on pages. So let's say, for example, that I want to take this to an absolute extreme and I don't want to see YouTube descriptions, right? So let's say that I just want to watch YouTube videos. I don't want any call to actions. I just want to watch the description, right? I don't want a description. I just want to watch the video. What I could do is I could go into AdBlock here and click hide something on this page. And then you can literally just click the thing and press looks good. And then it will hide it, right? Obviously, I didn't confirm it. Let me just do it again. Let's just do this. Looks good. Confirm. And so now, I actually can't see the description. The text in the description is gone. So I do this all the time with other websites where certain places that I go quite often that annoy me, where there's certain things that I have to look at, I just block them on AdBlock. It's really cool because now whenever I go to a YouTube video, AdBlock is gonna basically block it, but I'm gonna unblock it now because I want to see it. So let's try an example here. Actually, let's go to Facebook and let's say that you want to actually stop seeing your Facebook notifications. I've never tried to do this before because I don't go on this thing. But let's go to AdBlock. Hide something on this page. Will it let me do it? Oh, it will. You're joking. So that's a life hack right there. So you can literally hide your ability to see your Facebook notifications. Because I know full well that if I log into Facebook, I'm keeping that on. Because I know full well that if I log into Facebook to do something for my business, there is not a single notification inside of this platform that will contribute value towards my business. Maybe there will be, but it's very unlikely. Like, I haven't been on Facebook now for like a year. So I've missed every single notification I've had for a year. Albeit I have an appointment setter on here now, right? He might have reached out to some of you. But like, there's nothing that I've missed, right? So I can just do that and be like, okay, let's see what else I can get rid of. Because this I haven't tried to do this before. Let's see. Can I hide the contacts? I can. Oh, sorry, I had to let someone in. So yeah, you can see this is a pretty cool thing. You can just hide everything. You can just get, maybe even you can even use this. But like, the first port of call is don't go there because it's a distraction. But the second thing is you can just basically use these tools to just remove things that would distract you. I don't know if you can use this to actually hide like the entire news feed. Maybe you can. You actually can. See, look at that. So now when I come onto Facebook, I could even probably hide the messages as well. But now when I go onto Facebook, like if I log out here and if I log back in, yeah, now there's nothing, which is way better because now I can go and do what I need to do without getting distracted by the news feed or my notifications. And then once I'm done with it, I can just log out. Oh, and see, look at this. Look, let's just look at this. Like, you know, I accidentally clicked up here, so apparently I clicked on notifications. I don't know how, because it's not even there. Oh, we can't even access the notifications. It doesn't matter, but you get the point. There's nothing in there that's valuable, nothing in there that's useful. Just log out and get it done. So that's basically how I structure my work setup for focus and how I remove all of these distractions. My mentor, Sam, calls it snakes and ladders, where like, you know, focus is like a game of snakes and ladders where you want to put as many ladders in place, which are things in your environment that are conducive towards focus, and remove the snakes. And like a snake, for example, is the YouTube recommended page or your Facebook newsfeed or, you know, having a bunch of stuff down here. And like when you're working, you only want to have like 1 or 2 tabs open at any given time. You don't want to have multiple windows, nothing, no notifications. It's just chaos. Just learn to do one thing at a time, keep it clean, keep it minimalized, keep it organized, and you'll make more progress. If you are an agency owner or a coach or a consultant, you can click the first link in the description. Full transparency, it's a video of me trying to sell you something. We might be able to help you get more clients. We might not. I don't know. But either way, I don't really care if you click it or not. I just hope you found this video useful. Have a good day.